Hi, I'm Anna, or Anna G Writes and Reads on all social media. We are going to be talking about my future TBRs because I just counted the books that aren't on my physical TBR this year, and I have 156 that I need to organize.
Here are all the books, and you are going to start seeing them disappear as I organize them into their 3 different categories. So, hooray!
This shelf under my priority TBR will hold what I think is going to be my 2024 TBR, or other books that will help fill out my 2023 TBR if I read more than a book a week. So let me show you what's going to be on kind of like my second string TBR. So after all of my organizing, I sorted my books into 2024, 2025, and 2026. Again, a TBR is never actually set in stone, but I just like to be organized. Let's see what we're going to do for 2024.
Hi, it's me, Editing Anna. So the HarperCollins Union is at the mediation table with HarperCollins The Business, which is exciting, but it took way too long to get there. We are still supposed to hold the line, so if I talk about any HarperCollins books on my second string TBR, I will be letting you know which ones are HarperCollins books. Again, this is not a review of those because I have not read these books, but I do want to be transparent in showing what books are from HarperCollins and making sure that we still support the union during this time.
First up, we have the Maybird trilogy. I read these as a kid. I might try to push myself to read my priority TBR so I can get to this first because I am very excited about these books. Next, we have a standalone Far From Normal. I wanted to maybe get to it this year, but I just didn't have the space. We'll do another series this summer, I Turned Pretty. The thing I keep thinking about with this is that I do actually want to read it in the summer. I don't really know anything about this series, but that might be something that I adjust later this year. I'm not a huge mood or seasonal reader, but just something about the series and the covers of this makes me want to read it in the summer. And then for a thriller, we have Still Missing. I've heard nothing but great things about this one, but I don't know if I'll, again, have time to get to it this year, so I definitely want to put it on the back burner for next year. We have Dreamkeeper, which is an indie book that I plan to read next year. I definitely want to get more indie books for my physical shelf. All of my indie books have pretty much come from the book advent calendar and one gift. So I want to use this as a reminder to myself to get more indie books. Then we have this duology, Sword and Verse, Dagger and Coin. I really love the idea of duology December and reading, duologies in December. So I want to have these kind of set aside for that. Don't ask me how I plan so far in ahead. It's just how my brain works. We have Thief of Lies, which is a Library Jumpers novel. I read the back of this and I was actually pretty intrigued, but I think I need to get the other one. So putting this on for next year so I can give myself time to work up my book buying credits. Going back to thrillers, The Cellar. It also says on the front, aka Wattpad sensation Natasha Preston wrote this. So I'm very interested because this is a thriller, and in my head, that's not what I associate Wattpad with, so I'm very interested to get to this next year. We actually have some nonfiction. I don't read a ton of it, but I want to get through a few nonfiction books. So we have The Holocaust by Bullets and In Broad Daylight, both Holocaust nonfiction books, talking about different aspects of the Holocaust that aren't really as focused on in history class, and saying that myself as a former history teacher, this isn't exactly material that I would place in front of a 14-year-old, so I'm definitely interested to read it for myself. Going along the same vein, I've never actually read The Diary of Anne Frank, and I really want to, so I'm going to make a point of doing it next year. Back to maybe some more lighthearted series, we have Splintered, Ensnared, and Unhinged. I want to get into this fun little world next year. We have another series that I want to get through this year, the 100th Queen series. We have the 100th Queen, the Fire Queen, the Warrior Queen, and the Rogue Queen. I really love the covers for all of these books, and I'm interested to see, what all the books are about. So I didn't get into making all this bookish content until very recently, but this has been a book, I can't tell you how long I have had this book on my shelf. I honestly don't know a thing about it. I got it because I liked the cover, and I need to make a point to finally read this. Now I'm going to expect to have books on my TBR shelf for a longer bit of time, but this one has definitely been the longest running one on my shelf, so I need to get to it. Now, I haven't read much by Colleen Hoover, so I want to see what it's about because I bought these on a whim. So we have Verity and we have November 9. So these two, I want to try to get to at some point, but I'm sure there's going to be other ones that I buy that I might be a little more interested in, but we'll see. Okay, I feel like this is definitely kind of a throwback to when I would spend hours in the library looking at covers. These two books are ones I've always wanted to read solely based on the cover. And my mom and I went to like this little thrift store where they were doing 25 cents a book. So picked up these two, want to try them out next year, especially with all of the books we've seen so far. I feel like Sweethearts and LA Candy will definitely be a break from it. And I feel like with older books, people aren't doing this as much nowadays, but her whole face is the back cover. I think on this first shelf, we have just enough room for one more, The Immortalist by Chloe Benjamin. I saw this at a thrift store for $2. I read the back and I was very interested in the multiple perspectives. So I picked it up. I don't think I'll get to it this year, but I definitely want to, put it again on the back burner if I need more books. So we have our first shelf done. Now moving on to our lower shelf. I've also never read 1984. I feel like I should, and I think it'll be fun to read it in 2024. I just think the numbers would be cute to line up that way. I know this isn't a cute book. I want to preface that. I know this isn't a cute book, but I think the number lining up would be fun. Then we have Watch Me. So this is actually a way older book. I think it was published, the year I was born, 1995. And this is interesting because the premise is that they're learning how to catch serial killers with a computer program. So I saw this at a library rummage sale. It was 25 cents. I wanted to pick it up. I think it'll be fun to read next year. We also have World War Z. This, along with, it's kind of a funny story. I think I've been on my TBR the longest. So again, want to knock this one out next year, maybe this year if I have time. One of my college experiences was being able to lead a group of elementary school girls with a book club for a whole semester. It's what I did my undergraduate thesis on. And we never got to read this book, and I saw it for sale one day and wanted it. I think I also might get Smile and Drama, which I also know are other graphic novels. Again, just to kind of break up, this looks different than the usual book that I read. So I think it would be fun to read that and kind of relive those memories. I want to read the Delirium trilogy. So we have Delirium, Pandemonium, Requiem. I don't know a thing about these. I still want to read them. We have Meet You in the Middle. Again, part of my social studies background. I thought it was going to be an interesting concept. We'll see. So I remember reading the first 3 of these when I was at a nursing home as a receptionist, but I don't remember a thing. Now I feel like I'm taking more time to actually read books and retain the information, so I want to read all 5 of these in the next year. So we have The Maze Runner, Scorched Trials, The Kill Order, The Death Cure, and The Fever Code, which honestly, I didn't know The Fever Code was a book. I thought there were only 4 of them. Oopsies. This is the last standalone that I have, Wonder. I feel like I saw the previews for the movie and I thought it was cute, so I wanted to buy the book a while ago. It's been sitting on my TBR since. The last 2 editions for 2024 are series. Now I know I've read, again, 2 of these. I don't remember a thing. I feel like my retention's a lot better, so I want to try to tackle the 100 series. So we have the 100, Day 21, Homecoming, and Rebellion. I also remember my husband and I watching like 5 seasons of the show, but I really can't remember much past when they first touched the ground. I wonder if I'll remember anything when I start to read these. Then I want to read the Shadowfall series. I have been interested in these for a while. I used to keep these in my classroom when I taught, and unfortunately some of them got damaged. So I might even try to get a new one, especially of the first book, because you can see over here, just all this plastic is just looking like it's in poor condition. It feels a little funky, but I still want to read these next year because I've been meaning to for a while. So we have Born at Midnight, which is the first one. Again, I think I might just have to replace this because it was so damaged, and I guess I didn't realize when moving books until I started to reorganize my bookshelf. Taken at Dusk, Whispers at Moonrise, Awake at Dawn, Chosen at Nightfall. And I think there are some prequels I need to get or some other novellas, which again, now I'll have time to with wanting to read it so far in the future. Okay, we have some space left on this bottom shelf, so I'm gonna go grab some of my, what I was thinking would be my 2025 reads. Okay, I'm gonna start by adding these two, Criminal by Karen Slaughter, The River by Peter Heller. These are both more adult thrillers. I don't really have any of that in this batch, so I thought these would be good to add. Okay, I think we have room for two more, so I want to add Geek Girl and The Girl Who Drank the Moon. Both of these, the covers are really what caught my eye, so I feel like they're both standalones, so I'm just gonna throw them in there. And here you have it, my second string TBR. I plan on making another video showing, you know, what I'm gonna hold off on for a little bit longer, potentially unhaul. One of my weird goals is to have a physical library, which you need 1,000 books for. I think I'm getting fairly, you know, towards the halfway point, which is cool. But so what do you think of my second string picks? Should they be second string picks? Should I move them to the priority? Should I trade them in for something else? Let me know, and I hope you stick around to see what books I'm potentially going to unhaul.